Greetings, everyone. On Tuesday, Prajan A went to receive this certificate that the king gave to him. There are two more events. One is called to place a pin near the hall. And there is another event coming at the temple too. There are steps, difficult steps to build a temple. And there are many abandoned temples, and people keep building new temples. And so there's a rule that placed in to make it more difficult to build new temples. This does not apply to the Islamic temples. But Buddhism temple is very difficult. The steps are very difficult to build a new temple. The next event is on May 14th. So there's about a month each to prepare for the next event. The event on May is similar to the event before. The steps is quite difficult. So Luangpu is telling the volunteer to be prepared. There is a cause in Malaysia right now. There are some of the teaching assistants are there. This year there are activities, there are courses planned in different countries. This is the credit to the students of Buddhists, that we want to spread out the words, the Dhamma throughout the world. This is similar to back to the time of the king Asok, that he sent out Buddhist ambassadors around the world to share the teaching of Dhamma. This is how Buddhism came to Thailand too. That we received masters who came to Thailand, who came to the Southeast Asia. If King Asok didn't share the Dhamma with the world, didn't send out the ambassadors, then there would not be any Buddhism today. Even he sent out ambassadors around the world. Some of the countries, the Buddhism has disappeared already. In the Sukhothai era, that's before the Bangkok era, when Sukhothai was the capital city, we received the Buddhist ambassador from Lanka. And also Lanka requests an ambassador from Thailand. So we kept exchanging ambassadors, Buddhist ambassadors. The monks travel to other countries is not that because they want to get fame or gain reputation, but because they want to share Dhamma with the world. Now there are the two main languages that we can do, which is in Chinese and in English. there is a team, the English team, the Canadian team is quite strong. They came to Thailand and they went to Ban Jisabai, and it worked out well for them. They look very good when they attended Ban Jisabai. Another team is the Chinese team. There are many Chinese who come to the temple, and they started to understand how to practice. It is difficult for foreigner to understand how to practice because they need translators to translate. The other day, there was a foreigner, a Westerner, that came to the temple and listened through the earphone. Luangpa spoke in Thai. The translator translated from Thai to Chinese, and then there's another translator that would translate from Chinese to English. There are many steps. That Westerner, he looked confused when he listened to the translations. At the end, Luangpa talked to this person directly and asked someone who can speak English to help him out. This is similar to back to the Ayutthaya era, when we sent in the ambassador to Burma. There was a translator. The translator would translate it Thai to Mon, and then from Mon to Burmese. There might be a misunderstanding or the loss in translation. So instead of being friendly, they almost end up fighting. Thailand and Burma almost end up in fighting. This is why it is difficult. For Thai students, you can learn Dhamma easier because you understand Thai, because Luangpa speaks in Thai. If there's no more Buddhism in Thailand and you have to travel to another country to learn, it will be more difficult. Like if you read the Tipitaka, some people criticize that, the translation in Thai, they don't translate it directly from. They prefer to read it in Pali. Many just remember the words, and after the class, they just forget the words. So learning in another language is difficult. The Dhamma taught in the forest tradition by the masters. The master would teach from heart to heart. So the teaching to each student was different. For example, when Luangpu Dun taught Luangpu Dun taught Luangpa to observe the mind, to study the mind. But when Luangpu Dun taught another student, some students were taught to observe the bones, to use the bones as the object. So everyone was taught different. It is customized to each student. Some students were told to refrain from excessive eating or sleeping. But another student, Luangpu Dun didn't forbid that. So in the old way, the master looked at each student and customized the teaching, that what is most suitable to that student. But we don't have any of this type of masters anymore. These days, the teachers would teach the students depending on how they practiced before. Like if the master used the breathing meditation, the master would teach the students the breathing meditation as the main technique too. So this is applied to, so most schools would teach like this. But when Luang Po learned with his masters, there's no one type of teaching. The teacher would look at the students and see which teaching would be most suitable to each student. In the past, a lot of people would go into the temple and sit and meditate. But most would be practicing samatha. They don't really practicing cultivating wisdom. And when you ask the master in the past, most people practice on their own in the past, so that's why the master have more time to teach each student. Only once in a while, a student would go to the master to ask the master to teach. Like when Luang Po met with Luang Pu Dun, Luang Po asked Luang Pu Dun then that Luang Po said to Luang Pu Dun that masters, I want to practice. Please tell me how to practice. After that, Luang Pu Dun closed his eyes for a long time to review what Luang Po have done before. And after that, Luang Pu Dun gave the specific practice to Luang Po. But today, Luang Po said that there's no time to teach each students. That's why Luang Po is teaching us the core principle. Luang Po does not teach us specifically of how to practice. We have to observe ourselves. Which kind of practice, what kind of practice that give us happiness? When we are happy to practice, then when we are happy, when we practice, then the mind will calm down. The mind will be peaceful. The practice that gives us peace or calmness is one. There's the practice that helps us cultivate wisdom is another one. They might not be the same type of practice. When the Prince Siddhartha, when he practiced calmness type of samadhi, he used the breathing meditation. But when we cultivate wisdom and became the Buddha, he didn't enlighten from the breathing meditation. But the breathing meditation helped his mind get ready to cultivate wisdom. He was enlightened because he used the contemplating the cause and effect, or pakichat samubabad in Thai. That contemplating was not thinking, but he was able to contemplate the cause of all the suffering. That did not come from thinking. If you said that the Buddha enlightened from thinking, that is not correct. He contemplated the cause and effect. He saw the phenomena. If there is a phenomena for you to see, that is correct. It's not from thinking. He saw the suffering, what the suffering phenomena is like. There is a phenomena, there is a suffering of the body and of the mind. And what is the cause of suffering? What is the birth? There is a birth. Birth is not coming out from your mother's womb. birth in Dhamma means when the mind is grabbing the sensual contacts like the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, the body and the mind itself. So the translation, the word can be confusing sometimes because we are using the same word, but it means they mean totally different. So the birth in Dhamma sense, it means when the mind is grabbing the sensual contacts, the eye, ears, nose, tongue, the body, and the mind itself, that is birth. So the Lord Buddha, he used the breathing meditation to prepare the mind to be ready to cultivate wisdom. And when he cultivates wisdom, it becomes enlightened. He contemplates the cause of all the suffering and the effect, the cause. What is the cause? That is a great type of wisdom that it's not come from thinking. When we practice, we need to cultivate wisdom. We have to see what is suitable to us, what is not suitable to us. So we have to evaluate ourselves, see ourselves. We have to pick the object that might like to stay with when we practice. Pick the object of meditation that the mind is happy to be with. When we know which object, we just know it comfortably knowing it. Let the mind stay with it, like comfortably stay with it. Without trying. Samatha is started when the mind is not trying to make the mind stay with the object. When we are trying, the mind would struggle. The mind would not be peaceful. The mind will not calm down. And with that, that will not lead into any sati. There will not be any, that when there is trying, there's no mindfulness, cannot arise with that. So when we practice, when we struggle, the mind cannot be peaceful. The mind cannot calm down. So first, we have to pick the object of meditation that the mind is comfortable to stay with. The mind is happy to stay with, but not that the mind would be lost when the mind is with that object. If the mind is lost and just too comfortable and lost, that is not good either. An example, if you use the breathing meditation accompanied with Bhutto, like when you breathe in, you say Bhut, when you breathe out, you say To. Like when after Luang Por finished the Dhamma talk, Luang Por would go back into his room and not coming out if it's not needed. He liked to be alone and is very comfortable. He has his breath to accompany him. If you have other people to accompany you, that can give you headache because you have to try to please them. Companions would give you headache, doesn't matter who they are. Because when you have a companion usually expects something out of you. Like every day during the weekdays, around 8 o'clock, Luang Por usually come out to check on the people who are visiting the temple. Some have high expectation that Luang Por will speak to them every time Luang Por come out. That is not possible. Luang Por does not work for anybody. Does not serve anyone specifically. If anyone have a problem, Luang Por would speak to them. When Luang Por's finished with his work, Luang Por would go back to his room and be by himself and stay with his breath. that is his personality since he was a lay person. When Luang Pa finished work, when Luang Pa came home, Luang Pa would be by himself, not pay attention outward. That is his personality since when he was a little child. He would be in his room and be with himself. Other people may say that Luang Pa was a loner when he was a lay person. But if you pick the object of meditation is suitable to you and you can stay with it, you can be happy with it. You don't have to try to make the mind calm. There was a master. Her name was Master Chandi. She was a sister of Venerable Luang Ta Mahabua. She was a great master, a great practitioner. When she was enlightened, it was like a there was a lightning that came on her head. Luang Pa saw how she taught her students. She taught her students to do the breathing meditation and have the focal point at the tip of the nose. It doesn't matter if the mind calm down or not. That meant you don't have to try to make the mind calm down. Every time you try, the mind will struggle. And when the mind struggles, there's no calmness. So you don't have to try. You just observe the breath that coming in and out of the nose. When you're first starting, some may see the breath going in from the nose downward to the stomach. It's like the breath is like someone coming in your house. And at first, you might not know that person, so you follow that person. Like if that stranger come into your house, that person walk into the kitchen, we would follow that person to the kitchen. But if you know that person well, after you are used to that person, so you're not going to follow that person anymore. So as the breath coming in, we are not following the breath. When we are used to it, when we are more skillful, we just observe at the door, at the front door, which is the nose, the tip of the nose. Just know that the breath is going in, the breath is going out. If the mind is restless, we just know that the mind is restless. We just keep breathing, and then the mind will calm down on its own. When we are not trying, the mind will calm down on its own. If you only learn from the text, you might not understand what the master is trying to teach you. The master would say that if you're trying, the mind will not calm down. The happiness is the cause that would lead the mind to calm down on its own. But the mind is also non-self. It's not under our control. We cannot tell the mind to be a stable observer or to calm down. Luang Pa used to say that if you try, that's when you fail. That is Dhamma speaking. Because every time we try, there is a wanting. Every time we have the wanting or greed or the defilement, when we are practicing with the defilement, then that is the wrong type of practice. So when we want to practice vipassana or the insight, we have to understand that the mind is not our control, but we can train the mind. We can train ourselves to know when the mind is restless, when the mind calms down. This is similar to samatha practice. But when we practice samatha, we might pay attention to the object, for example, the breath. at the tip of the nose. We just know the breath at the tip of the nose. But when we practice vipassana, we can use the same object, but we just have to adjust the mindset. This is the know-how from Luangpu's experience, because Luangpu used the breath to practice samatha. When the mind calm down, when Luangpu want to cultivate wisdom or cultivate insight, Luangpu have to have sati to know of the mind instead of knowing the breath, only the breath. When we cultivate wisdom, you have to have sati to know the mind. Then when you have sati to know the mind, then you will attain the mind that is a stable observer. When Luangpa was young, was a little boy, Luangpa met with Venerable Luangpa Li. Luangpa Li taught Luangpa to practice samatha by breathing in and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 10. And then after it reached 10, then count backward. But Luangpa did not like counting backward because he was very young. So Luangpa kept counting from 1 to 100 instead of counting backward. So every time that when Luangpa breathed in, say put, and to breathing in and out put, to count 1, another put to count 2, and then Luangpa count to 100. As the mind calmed down on its own, the mantra Putto disappear. And the more the mind calmed down, then the breath disappeared. The breath turned into light. The light at first was bright and wide. And then Luangpa was able to control the light to shrink, to be as small as the pin itself. But the light is very intense. Luangpa was able to play with the light. Luangpa didn't know what to do after, because Luangpa didn't learn with the masterly after that. So when there was a light and Luangpa started to follow the light, Luangpa saw a vision. But if you ever see the vision, don't believe the visions. We might see the future or in the past. Most of the vision that you see, that's not the true vision. Most of them are fake. If we still are tainted with the defilement, the vision that we gain, most of them are fake. Some say that they saw their past life, and most of them saw and thought that they were important people. None of them would say that I was a cat or a dog before, because that is from the defilement that we wanted to be someone important. When Luangpa was young, that when he looked into this light, the mind followed the light out, and Luangpa had a vision of seeing the angels, seeing the heaven, seeing beautiful flowers in the heaven. At first, Luangpa was excited, and then Luangpa realizes that these beautiful images were not substantial. It's like you are seeing the millionaires' homes. Although it's beautiful, but you cannot move in there. So it is unsubstantial. And Luangpa is also afraid that if he could see heaven, then he could also see hell, and he could see ghosts, and he was afraid of ghosts. So he stopped doing that. He didn't let the mind move toward the light. Every time, if the mind moves outward with the light, that is not a stable observer. In the past, the master would tell their student, if they are afraid of ghosts, they have to practice out in the forest. And if they're afraid of the animals, they have to also practice where animals were. So the mind would not be out. So Luang Po was afraid of ghosts. So instead of letting the mind out, Luang Po would know that the mind started to move out. But before it started to move, before it moved out, Luang Po would not let it move out. This is because Luang Po didn't want to see ghosts. He did not realize that that was important, not to let the mind send out. That is the key, one of the key way of how to practice. So he practiced like that, not letting the mind out. And then one day when he was 10 years old, there was a fire near his home. As he was frightened and he was on a run to tell his dad. As he ran, take the first step, he was still frightened. Second step, he was still frightened. And the third step, he realized that the mind was frightened and the mind was awake and brightened. And he saw just the body moving. He was no longer frightened. The mind was awake and a knower. The mind was a stable observer. So Luang Po was able to attain the mind that was a stable observer since he was 10 years old. So Luang Po was able to do that. So when Luang Po met with Luang Pu Dun, Luang Pu Dun saw that Luang Po was able, Luang Po attained a stable observer for years. So Luang Pu Dun taught Luang Po how to cultivate wisdom after that. Luang Po tried to contemplate the body, but that method was not suitable to him. He didn't like contemplating the body. So when he met with Luang Pu Dun, and Luang Pu Dun told Luang Po to observe the mind. At first, when Luang Po heard that, Luang Po focused on the mind. That was not correct. And also Luang Po focused on the mind and tried to make the mind not moved, not think. When Luang Po reported that to Luang Pu Dun said, that's not correct. Luang Pu Dun told Luang Po to observe the mind, to know the mind as it is. But Luang Po focus on the mind and control the mind, not to fabricate. So that was not correct. So after that, Luang Po started to serve the mind as it really is. See the mind that is fabricating defilement, fabricating anger. If you try to stop anger from arising, that is you are fabricating the mind. That's not the correct way of practice. We just have to observe the mind as it is. Let the mind do what it does and observe it. So Luang Po didn't start from the body because Luang Po have enough mental strength, and Luang Po's mind has been a stable observer since he was 10 years old. So he was ready to cultivate wisdom by observing the mind. Luang Po thought that everyone could do that. And he thought that everyone in the world, their minds are stable observer too. But that's not it. When Luang Po was a lay, he taught his friends how to practice. There was 10 people in his group. And when his group visited the master in the past, the master was surprised because all 10 of them, their mind was awakened. How can you get this many people together? So the master was very surprised to have to see the 10 people together because they have the true awareness. The mind was awakened. Although they're not enlightened, but their mind are awakened, joyful. Most people in the world, their minds are lost. even though they are still practicing, but the mind is still lost. But we can train our mind to awaken. The first way is to train the mind to attain the second absorption type of concentration. But this way, people in this generation cannot do that. So Luang Po does not teach this much. Most, even the monks in the presence, they cannot attain jhana either. They practice momentary samadhi, just like us. So how to attain the mind that is a stable observer is to have sati every time, or mindfulness, to know when the mind moves, to know so when the mind is fabricating, know the behavior of the mind. In the text, they may say that to know when the mind is picking up the sensual contact like the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, the body, and the mind itself. So to practice to attain the mind that to practice that we can have mindfulness is to know so of the mind. When the mind wander away from the object of meditation, know so. And when the mind is awakened, don't try to sustain it and don't try to keep it there. Just let it be. One time Luang Po practiced and he saw that there is a wave. The mind is moving inside in the middle of the chest. And Luang Po met a master. His name was Luang Po Kun. Luang Po stayed at the temple in a room near the master at that time. And Luang Po Kun saw that Luang Po tried to observe what is going on inside his chest. And Luang Po Kun asked, like, what are you doing? Don't try to just observe the mind in the chest. And Luang Po Kun pointed that the mind is up here. Luang Po thought that, oh, now I know how to practice. So Luang Po observed the knower. Luang Po thought that this was the correct way to practice, but it's not. That he tried to observe the knower. When he tried to observe the knower, there's another knower that knows the knower, and there's another knower that knows the knower. He practiced like this until it's almost sunrise, and then he realized, oh, this is wrong. He was very angry at that time. At that time, he was still having a lot of anger. At first, Luang Po was angry at the master. He thought that the master taught him incorrectly. So as he woke up, when Luang Po came out of the door, he opened the door loudly, and Luang Po Kun, he knew, and Luang Po Kun came out also. Luang Po Kun was a great master, he knew. And Luang Po Kun said, Pramote, you practice very bad. And Luang Po Pramote, when he was a lay person, because you taught me this, how to practice like this, I was practicing well until you told me how to practice. And Luang Po Kun said that, I didn't mean for you to observe the knower. I meant that what you try to observe in the middle of your chest, that was not the mind. Luang Po was stuck at trying to observe. Luang Po was stuck at observing the knower after the knower after the knower for the whole year, because Luang Po was focusing on the knower, or trying to keep the knower there. That was not correct. That that would be the wrong way to practice. You can get stuck when you try to observe the knower after the knower for a long time. So when you practice, you can use any object of meditation that is suitable to you. And just know if the mind, just know the mind as it is. The mind can calm down, the mind can be restless. It is okay, just know it as it is. Knows when if the mind is moving toward the light. As you know, when the mind is moving, when the mind is moving toward thought, toward thinking, wander off to think. As you know that the mind starts to wander off to think. As soon as you know that the mind starts to wander off, the mind that's wander off disappear, and the mind that is a knower would arise. To attain the mind that is a knower is to know when the mind is lost. When the mind is not lost, that is when the knower mind would arise. So that's why some of the master teaches us to know when the mind is lost. Like Luangpo Tian, when he used the 14 hand gesture movement, as the mind wander away from the hand, just know so. So you can use any object of meditation. You can use the stomach rising and falling. As the mind moves toward the stomach, you can know so of that. When the mind moves away from the stomach to think, you can know so of that. Or you can use the mantra, Namapata. As the mind moves toward the mantra, you can know so of that. As the mind wander off to see some of the stuff, to see the heaven, to see the hell, you can know so of that. So we are knowing the consciousness that going everywhere. We are observing the aggregates. If you can observe the consciousness, then that would be the shortcut of how to practice. In the 5 aggregates, consciousness aggregate, if we can know of that sometimes the mind is a knower, sometimes the mind is a thinker, sometimes the mind moves to see, sometimes the mind moves to hear. If you know, so that is a knower that arises in between the move of the mind. So as the mind moved to here, as you know, that is a knower between each time the mind moves. And when you keep seeing that, you will see that all the minds arise and fall. The consciousness aggregate arise and fall. Even the knower mind arise and fall. The mind that is stable observer arise and fall. The mind that moves to think, to hear, they also arise and fall. When you see that the mind is not under our control, the mind is not us. When you see that the consciousness aggregate is not us, other aggregates are also not us either. So as you practice, if you can observe the mind, that would be a shortcut of how to practice. And you can see, if you can see the 3 characteristics of the mind, of the consciousness, that the consciousness is non-self, impermanent, suffering. If you can see that, other aggregates would also fall under the 3 characteristics. If the consciousness aggregate is not us, then other aggregates is not us either. If you practice correctly, then the practice is easy. But you have to practice 2. 2 things that you need to practice is that you have to practice samatha and you have to practice vipassana. When your mind is, when you don't have mental strength, you have to practice samatha. As you practice samatha, you don't have to try to make the mind calm down. Just let it be. Luang Por is very skillful in practice samatha. Luang Por does not take long at all for the mind to calm down. We have to also train ourselves, train the mind to for it to become a stable observer. To have the mind that is a stable observer, we have to know the mind when the mind is lost. Every time that we know that the mind is lost, the mind that is stable observer would arise. If we keep knowing the mind that is lost, the more mind that is a stable observer would arise. It will feel like the mind is a stable observer always, if you know so often. When we have the mind that is stable observer, then it is ready to cultivate wisdom. It will see the phenomena as it is. And you will see the three characteristics of all phenomena. And after you cultivate wisdom for a while, you will lose the mental strength. Then you have to come back to practice samatha to cultivate the strength, the mental strength. It's kind of like you are doing the boxing. In the ring, you will spend all your energy, so you have to rest. You cannot just keep boxing. So you have to give the mind a rest. So samatha is also very important too. Vipassana is very, very important as well. That is all the Dhamma talk for today. You have to practice on your own. Notice yourself. Which object of meditation, which practice is suitable to you. Don't be lazy and take your side like, oh, I can do samatha by sleeping for 12 hours a day. Now homework time, number 1. Number 1, I practice by cultivating sati, mindfulness throughout the day. And for samatha, I use the breathing meditation, observing the breath. When I am mindful, I can see the mind fabricating more quickly. I practice by being mindful and know so of the mind. Do I practice correctly? Luang Por replied, correct. You have to practice more. Can you tell that now you don't have the samadhi? The mind is out. Try, take a breath. See the breath going in, the breath going out. Don't let the mind be drowsy or dull. Just breathe normally and know of the breath. Can you tell that the mind is back? Now you don't have to focus on it too much. Now you started to get drowsy. So every time you want to rest, you have to have sati. You have to be mindful. If you are not mindful, then the mind starts to get dull, drowsy. What you are doing is good. You practice well. When you cultivate wisdom, if you don't have enough mental strength, then it's not the true vipassana, and the mind may be stuck outside. That will be difficult to correct. That Luang Por made this mistake before. What the students are the mistakes the students are making, Luang Por make all of that before. Every time Luang Por try, Luang Por make mistake every time. So now Luang Por knows how to practice and able to teach all of that. Now number two, don't have to get excited. You practice well. Number 2, have existing illness. But number 2 is no longer worry about that. Number 2, try to be mindful of the body and the mind. Now number 2, understand that things are not under his or her control. And number 2, sees that he or she has ego and clinging
ชี้แนะค่ะ
to his or her belief. And I don't want to, I want to become a human again and keep practicing. หลวงพ่อ said that then you have to uphold the five moral precepts and you can return to become a human again. But this shows that you're not suffering enough. Otherwise, you would not want to come back as a human. See the world, they keep fighting. The oil price is going up.
พอเลิกควบคุมราคามีขายอีกแล้วเห็นไหมโลกมันเป็นอย่างนี้นะน่าอยู่ที่ไหนอ่ะ
The gasoline price is going up and many of the gas stations ran out of the gasoline. If you look at the world, if you see it clearly, there is a lot of suffering in the world. If you don't see the suffering in yourself, then you can observe the people surrounding you. They suffer a lot. What you are doing is good. Keep practicing regularly. If you want to come back as human again, then uphold the moral precept. Where do you want to be born next? Which country? Is karma, negative karma, gave you and you will be born in some of our neighbor country that may not be good. Because the villagers in the neighboring country, they suffer a lot. Like us, when other people in the world are fighting, we also suffer. The people in the rural area is even more, they are suffer even more. Some of the our neighbor country, they were taught to hate Thai people. When they hate, then there is a karma. And they started to hate themselves. That is the result of this negative karma. Their leader lead their people to suffer. So actually it's better not to come back as a human. It is better not to be anything that is best, not to be anything. What you are practicing is good. Keep practicing. Why you are confused? Why you are confused that Luangpa said that everyone practice well? Because everyone is different. Their level may be different. They may be good as a primary school kid. They may be good as the high school kid. They may be good as the university kid. But doesn't matter. If you practice, it's always good. And we're going to keep progressing as we practice. Right now, number 2, your mind is out. So keep knowing your body. Use your body. Know your bones. Number 2, you should observe your bones. That is a suitable object for you to use. Number 3. In formal practice, I do the walking meditation. And I try to be aware of my body and know when the mind is lost. Throughout the day, I try to take breaks between works to be aware. When I practice samatha, I can see the light. I think this is the vision. Please tell me if I should practice samatha more or not. Luangpa replied, you have to practice samatha, but you don't have to try to attain jhana, this deep concentration. We practice samatha so the mind can rest. The mind can have a place that it can rest. That is all. That's enough. If you are able to attain absorption, you can also do that, but your mind can easily get lost in this comfortable place. You might really like doing this. So let's not do that. Just let the mind
พยายามส
rest.
อนนะ
Just let the mind be rest and refreshed so you can cultivate wisdom.
เล่นทีหลังได้
After you are enlightened, then you can play with this.
ถ้าได้เราคงไม่อยากเล่น
But
อยู่กับของจริงแล้วเรื่องอะไรไป
Luangpu is saying that because when you are enlightened, you might not want to practice this type of samadhi.
ไม่ต้องตื่นเต้นที่ภาวนาอยู่ดี
Number 4, you don't have to be excited. You practice well. Number 4, I practice formally every day for 3 hours at least every day. I can feel the tension on my forehead. Every time my mind is lost, it's come almost like I'm daydreaming. When I sit, I don't feel, I feel that my mind is restless. I cannot walk more than this because I have problem with my leg. I can see that the defilement is building self, but I still like that that is a self. Please tell me what to do next.
เคลื่อนไหวนะ
When you cannot walk, you can use other type of moving. You don't have to pretend to move
เคลื่อนไหวอยู่แล้วเราแต่ละคน
because we are always moving all the time. Just know when we move. Don't make your mind dull, still.
คิดว่าอย่างนี้เรียกว่าสงบ
You think that this is the mind
อย่าแซงอย่าไปแต่งจิตให้
is still calm. That's not right.
แต่ไม่ใช่รู้สึก
Be aware, but don't try to force the awareness until you are stressed. When you force, you try to be aware, then that's why that you feel a tension on your forehead.
นั่งสมาธิมาแต่เด็กนะพอหัดดูจิตนะโอ้ดูสัก
Luangpu, when he make a mistake, trying to sit and meditate and try to see things with his eyes, he focused on that too much then until his eyes hurt. Right now, it's not correct.
ไม่แต่ง
Right now, you are fabricating the mind to be still.
สงบก็
That's not correct.
สงบก็ใช่
It's okay if the mind is still or not. It's all okay. You just have to know it as it is. Number 5. There was I saw a phenomena that my body just disappeared. It's like I'm floating in the space. When I try sitting and meditate again, I never can attain that again. What happened then?
หลวงพ่อพูดถึง
Luangpu said that, replied that because when you try,
ไม่เข้า
you cannot achieve that. When you're not trying, then when the samadhi that is formless.
ปัจจุบันดีที่สุดเลยถ้าเราไปอยู่ตรงนั้นนะ
Just be aware. It is better to be aware of the body and the mind.
ตรงเนี้ยมีกายมีใจที่จะได้
Know
จริงของตัวเอง
know so of yourself right here, right now. You can see that this thing right here, right now, is just nothing but suffering. It's nothing substantial. So the mind that moved out is not important.
สติอยู่กับปัจจุบัน
Sati,
จำเป็น
mindfulness, be at the present is most important. Number 6. Number 6. Throughout my daily life, I use my body as the object of my meditation, and also I use the mantra Putto, Dhammo, Sangho. And in formal practice, I use the necklace and counting the marble. I know the mind. If the mind is brightened, I would know so. If the mind is darkened, I would know so. I think that knowing suffering is most important. Please tell me what to do next.
รู้สึกไหมตอน
Luangpu replied, your mind is restless. Your mind is thinking too much. Just know it.
จิตดีขึ้น
You don't have to do anything. Now the mind is better.
เป็นฝึกเอาทำได้เบอร์7
You can practice.
เบอร์
Just keep practicing. Number 7, you are very good. Number 7, I practice formally every day for half an hour to 1 hour every day. And most of the time I Sometimes I feel tight. I try to keep the five moral precepts. Sometimes my mind is lost for a long time. Please kindly give me what to do next. For you to observe the mind, like what you have done, that is correct. If you cannot observe the mind, then you can observe the body. Number 8. Every day, I practice formally by doing the sitting meditation, walking meditation, keep the five moral precepts, knowing the body and the mind, know so when the mind is restless, know so when the mind is lost. I think I have progress. The mind is peaceful, light, and I want to offer all my practice as an offer to the Dhamma, Sangha, and Buddha. What you are doing is good, but right now you're fabricating the mind to be proper, to be right, because you are talking to Luangpo. Just know that this is your fabricating self. That is not your true self. This is the mind fabricating it. This is correct. Just knowing so. Know the fabrication of the mind. Don't try to fabricate the mind yourself. You don't have to try to fabricate yourself to look good, to look proper. That is all the Dhamma talk for today. Now you can go home. อนุโมทนาค่ะ